we live?
Yeah, we are. Here we go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. I'm not even ready.
That's okay there, Mark.
Welcome
We're
to
good.
Gruber Wired. I'm Mark Beach.
I'm John Dotson, and welcome once again. Today's show is kind of a sobering moment, right? A sobering show.
Yeah.
Today is the reference there of 9/11 to
Yep.
begin. And I think those of us who remember those days, you know, it was quite an influence on us.
Yeah. It was, everybody remembers where they were.
Oh, yeah.
If you were alive, and, you know, one of those things where I just remember, like everybody else, being fixed to the TV and trying to come up with answers as far as, you know, what was going on. And I was in New York City a few years later at the site, and that's at that moment is when I was actually really angry.
Yeah, it's where the
Standing
gravity
there.
of the situation,
Yeah.
I mean, just being there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just absolutely not.
Cass wanted to chime in there.
Oh, yeah. I am one of the last of the generation that would recognize and remember what we were doing. I was 4 or 5 years old. The only thing I remember, though, is eating cereal and watching my dad's reaction to what was happening on the TV.
Yeah.
That's all I remember. I don't remember much of anything else.
Yeah. It was surreal.
Yeah, I remember the moments afterwards. If you haven't had that type of experience where all of a sudden there wasn't a plane in the sky,
Yeah.
I mean, just the natural sounds that we are so used to of planes above us, you know,
Yep.
during that time. And it was kind of an eerie feeling for a moment.
I mean, planes you heard were fighter jets every
Yeah.
once in a while. Yeah.
But yeah, what a moment. And so we like to take a moment just to recognize, remember, and
Next year is 25 years. Next year is
Wow.
the 250th birthday of America. Next year's a big year.
yeah, be a lot of celebration going on. With
Well, a
what
lot
we've
of
come through.
remembering for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, well.
And then, Cass, can you throw up one of those pictures that I sent you? Please. So last night, I attend Dream City Church.
Mhm.
Used to be Phoenix First Assembly, and that's Charlie Kirk's home church. And so they have a Wednesday night prayer service anyway. And so they did a memorial, and it was packed. Just kind of a shocking moment in today's world, you know.
Sure.
It was really words failed me, you know. I still don't know how to feel right now. There is such violent rhetoric and people online celebrating it, which is disgusting. And this was a man who went out and tried to engage in peaceful dialogue. His whole theme of going out to college campuses and setting up high school chapters was to engage young people into thinking through things rather than accepting indoctrination and just what they've been told. And I believe he was killed because he was effective. I believe that, you know, thousands and thousands of young people saw through the indoctrination of educators with agendas. And, you know, he was a good man. He was unapologetically, you know, a follower of Jesus Christ. He made faith part of his every discourse that he gave. It was his baseline for who he was, and it informed all of his views. And you know, we hear about people, you know, Christians being persecuted in other parts of the world, but this was a martyrdom of a believer on U.S. soil, and it if anybody thinks that it doesn't happen today, there you go.
Yeah, it does. And like Erica had chimed in there, they only kill the ones that speak loud enough to be heard.
Right.
JFK, for example. It's true. And here's part of the process, like I was telling you before the show, for me,
Right.
is it is hard to have a rational answer to an irrational situation.
Right.
To me, very irrational to take this type of violence, this act of violence,
Right.
In this manner and use it in this way.
Right.
So it's one of those things where, yeah, man, wow. Here was somebody who, he was a father, he was a husband, he's a brother, you know, somebody that's in the community promoting good, educating people.
Right.
I mean, the key for him there was education.
And nonviolent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
It reminds me a lot, not of JFK, but of MLK. Yeah, there you go, Erica, where, he espoused nonviolence and having open dialogue with people that he didn't agree with or that they didn't agree with him, but he was willing to sit down and talk.
Yeah.
And, there's a big part of me that says that the dialogue is now over. The talking is now over, and you can't have peace with part of the country that doesn't want it and won't stand for it, and they will not accept the founding principles of this country, which was to be able to engage in civil debate. It's very, very apparent to me that there's no path forward right now.
Well, there will be. That path will come to light once everything kind of calms down and acceptance comes into play. I mean,
yeah, it's kind of hard to calm down when they're shooting at you, like your president, and then, they actually unalive somebody. It's, a little bit different.
But I also think we're talking about certain sectors of the population, not necessarily the mass population.
No.
No,
I get it. But, it's
I know. It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When leaders, alleged leaders, call, when Maxine Waters told, their supporters, go get in their face, don't let them have any peace in public and all, that's violence. They're advocating violence.
Oh yeah, they're advocating it.
And there's plenty of examples of that, of quote unquote leaders on the left who promoted and continue to promote aggressive action against conservatives. So you just have to believe who they are and accept the fact that sometimes there is no making peace.
No, there isn't. But there is, a certain sector out there, and I'm going to use Highlander as an example, okay? Mm-hmm. Kindness is always free, right?
It is.
And he promotes that. And the more that we have people like out there in the world promoting the opposite, right?
Right.
Trying to make a difference in that direction.
Sure.
So you see both sides of the spectrum, I guess is what I'm after. But the general public, I think, for the most part, is kind of in between on both sides of the fence. I mean, I know a lot of people, that are on the Democratic side and Republican side. Hey, I can agree to disagree with you. It doesn't get violent, okay? It doesn't have to go there.
My TikTok yesterday was full of people crying, screaming, yelling, that was it. They were finally leaving the Democrat Party. It's just not who they are. It's not what they're about. And that was the middle. What they lost yesterday was the middle.
Yeah.
And it's just a very sad time that but we knew it was headed this way. We knew that it was just going to keep going. Nothing was happening on that side of the equation to calm their people down, and the rhetoric kept tamping up, and the violent oratory kept tamping up. And when you have a bunch of unstable people who don't even know which bathroom to use and don't know what gender they are, then eventually the cuckoos are going to fly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I know, and it's sad. It is sad that that's the place that we are, but that's where we're at.
Yeah.
The good news is we can overcome this. We can work together. We can overcome these idealisms.
We've always found peace on the other side of struggle. But how we get there,
Yeah, it's a long road to get there.
yeah,
Very
yeah.
long road.
there's always a path forward, but who knows what that looks like right now.
Yeah. Well, the good news is at the end of the day, out of this tragedy, we know that this gentleman did a lot of good out there with his service.
Right.
You know?
Yep. I mean, the actions yesterday raised up, thousands of Charlie Kirks, because there are young people on campuses all across this country who are going to have been affected to the core. And this is going to inspire them to step up and step in that place and be that for their area, for their campus, for their town, for their state. And all it did, all that happened yesterday was that action was a force multiplier. Plain and simple.
So let me ask you this, Mark, because you probably have a few of these answers. What about those people that feel this way now? Coming out of this, they're going to go through, the phases of grief and anger.
Right.
But at the end of the day, when they come out and say, listen, I would like to make a difference.
Right.
How do you get through to them? Where do they go? What resources do they have?
Everybody has a different skill set, but everybody can talk to somebody. They have they have friends, they have circles of influence. And really, Charlie Kirk's strength was his intelligence and being able to understand the truth from lies and expose the lies. He went on to college campuses and did something radical. He promoted, people getting married and having kids and families and, going to church and working hard, those types of things. That's what those were his radical ideas, and I think that people in general, if they want to get involved, whether it's serving their community in different ways, making a difference in people's lives, that's what we can all do. We might not be able to all go on college campuses and debate, and we may not be able to go even to a public square and debate, but what we can do is live out the example and really return America and America's families to a centered, rational approach to all topics,
Sure.
And there's, people have been so afraid of things going back to, the 50s and the 2-parent households.
Yeah.
And, people who stayed together for life and all that kind of stuff. And I think that traditional values, which some people really fight against, we're paying the price for getting away from them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if people want to get more involved than just that, then they certainly can seek out organizations like TPUSA, CPAC. There's a lot of different great groups that bring in volunteers. The Republican Party, which I'm a part of, I'm an officer in. People get elected as precinct committeemen, though they're responsible to work their neighborhoods and be a resource for voters in their neighborhoods. If you're not registered to vote, register to vote. Do your part to show up on election day, and don't just vote because somebody has an initial by their name. Know who they are, know what they're about, and be smart about how you vote, because that's really what's going to change a lot of these, blue cities back.
Sure.
It's very, very difficult to fix things when you keep electing people who want to tear things down.
That's true. But I think a lot of this is initially going to start with each individual at home. You know what? It's time to wake up and look next door to your neighbor and say, hey, my name's John, because we don't know our neighbors like we used to. We don't even know that, and we're living in these communities.
Right.
We need to get back out there and start to get to know each other once again. I think
Right.
part of the divide is we don't know each other. We just don't. And how do you do that? It's just by simply saying hello, introducing yourself, being friendly, doing something. I mean,
Right.
a lot of the conversations that I have and where I find changes people's minds are like the backyard barbecues, out to dinner with people, friends, family, meeting new people. That's really the core of where this starts.
Right. You bring up a great point. It's all face-to-face engagement. And in the party, we do a lot of door knocking because that's the only thing that's successful. There are a lot of keyboard warriors out there, a lot of people who are brave on social media who, would text things that they would never say to your face, right?
Yeah.
And the technology that we have today has removed the courteousness and politeness of society.
Yeah, it's true. It really has.
Yeah. And people wouldn't behave, it just reinforces that bad behavior, and then they can get bold and say things in public, and show up at protests with other like-minded people who are equally vile and do vile things. So, we need that one-on-one engagement. The best advertisement for whether it's your faith or your politics, your policies is you, and telling people about things that you've discovered over time. And in my 61 years, I've learned a lot, but
education.
Yeah. And dialogue. I mean, dialogue is so key, and removing indoctrination from people who have just been told the same thing over and over, but it's been a lie. And you have this, what they call the mockingbird media. And you've seen the videos before where there's 30 different TV and news shows, and they say the exact same words about this a particular event. And that's the mockingbird media. It's, they tap into the same resource, get the same talking points, and they just parrot it. And nobody vets it. These are I stopped watching Fox 10 because they just parrot bad talking points. Well, and I don't want to watch news readers. I want people who are thinking on the other end of that camera and can actually articulate something that they know, not something they are told.
Yeah, and you make a good point there before we move on here, because Erica had a question. But I think what we're really getting down to is educating people, and the people out there need to learn. Stop being a follower. Be a leader. Change your aspect of how you're looking at things and become a leader. Lead yourself first before you can lead others.
Yeah.
And take that point of view and find out how to get educated to move forward.
Right. Yeah. Nope, I get it. I don't know what that is.
I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Erica and I were talking earlier today. She said, squirrel moment here. What about Aqua cooling technologies has been innovated as well yet?
I'm not prepared to talk about that.
Yeah, I know you're not.
No.
Really briefly, we'll talk about, because we were talking, she brings it up. I was telling her about the project I'm working on where they're building data centers in storage containers, and they're sinking them to the bottom of the ocean.
Right.
And this is over in the Netherlands. Well, the reason being for that is because number one, cost for a data center is cooling. It's very cold at the bottom of the ocean. So these are kind of self-cooling, technology that they're using on this in this way.
Right.
And so we were talking a little bit about it, and she goes, well, what's the effects of putting these things in the bottom of the ocean? So I pulled up a little bit of information. I thought this might come up, but some of the benefits of doing this is it creates artificial reefs,
right?
For wildlife and so forth.
How do they get in after it becomes a reef?
Good question. I don't know, to go in and do any sort of work on them.
Right.
I imagine they're probably sitting down there for some time, and then they just pull them up and put a new one down. Good question. I'll have to find out. The other benefit about doing this down at the bottom of the ocean was they're very noisy as well. So it also condenses around it, water naturally, controls sound. So you don't have a lot of noise pollution too.
Okay.
So, yeah, I know. So So there you go, Erica.
There you go. And if you have any
Yeah.
comments while we're going through this, feel free to pop them on here. You can only comment while we're live, so feel free to jump in. If you comment after on a replay or whatever, please, we'll try and respond to those. We always check out the podcast comments maybe 1 or 2 weeks later and see if there's anything to look at. So
feel free to
chime
continue.
in. Yep.
Cass, pull up that picture I sent you of the book. I had to bring this story up because I was just laughing hysterically when I saw this and just thought this was kind of funny. 82 years. They've returned a library book. Grandma won't be able to pay for it anymore. So the story kind of reads that, anyway, the grandfather had passed away. They found this book that was in the belongings and decided to return it.
Yeah.
The question is, how do you return this? We don't have a Dewey Decimal System anymore, right? So how would you accept this, and how would you monitor how much would this book actually be worth nowadays in late fees?
Well,
So
it's probably worth a lot for them just to have it back.
Yeah, well, I could tell you it cost 3 cents in July of 1943, which amounts to 56 cents in today's money per day for that book.
Yeah.
So returning this book after 82 years, the penalty fee for this would be right around $16,000
Yeah.
in late fees. So
I remember checking books out of the library and them doing those little stamps.
yeah.
Yep.
Major Tom will know. Anybody win Superman 2 disc laser disc? No, we hadn't had anybody
No
chime
one
in on
responded. Color me shocked. Yeah. Yep.
Eric says, sorry, Mark, I wasn't meaning to kill the vibe here. I agree, Charlie should have never had to deal with being a reality or risk, especially on a college campus. It's sad. It's just all sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those moments that's just kind of sobering. It just brings you back to reality for a moment that this does happen out there. I mean,
Sure.
you hear about it every day on local news, right? We hear that somebody was shot, somebody died in an accident and whatnot. But
Yep.
this is at such a different level that it hits a lot more people and touches a lot more lives.
It does, and it's I have people that are friends on Facebook that are from around the world, and I see their comments, and it's very, very shocking, for people outside the U.S. to see this kind of stuff happen. And him being a Phoenix guy, being at the same church, there's just a whole lot more that's going on inside me, because this is just real in more than just there's a celebrity kind of way.
Sure. Yeah.
And we're going to get through it. Just he I guess he's being flown back tonight on Air Force 2, and then
That's what I heard.
Yeah. And I don't know when this service is going to be, but I'm sure it's going to be at the church, so it can seat like 7,000. So I'm sure it'll happen there. But we're just praying for his wife and 2 daughters who are, I think, not even 3 yet.
Yeah,
it's
they're
just,
very young.
Just very sad. So anyway.
Erica comes on, so it reminds me I have to return some books. Oh my God, thank you.
Well, if you have books, you probably have old Netflix videos too.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Return those.
Yeah.
Or Blockbuster videos you forgot to return. I found one of those not too long ago in a box in my garage. It's like I forgot
have
to
some
return
Blockbuster
this.
stuff, but it's when they sold them after they got used for a while, and you could buy them for a few bucks. And yeah. But the Netflix ones, people don't know because it's all streaming now. But it used to be, when you were a member of Netflix, they would mail you a DVD.
Yeah.
And you watch
Come
it,
in the
and then
mail
you stick it in the prepaid envelope and send it back.
Yeah.
That was
It's been a long time.
yeah, but it was a great idea.
Can you remember what the last movie was you rented from Blockbuster?
Me?
Yeah.
Man, no.
Cass?
Were you old enough to rent from
What's a
Blockbuster?
What's a
No, I'm just kidding.
Blockbuster?
What's a Blockbuster?
I actually used to rent my video games from Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
Hey, Highlander, glad you're with us.
Yeah, thank you. We spoke about you a little bit earlier, Highlander, in your message that you're trying to get out, and I think it's a very positive message.
Yep.
We need more of that. We really do.
Yeah.
Erica says, I still have a whole box of Disney VHS. Yeah, wow.
Original VHS. Yeah, well, could be worth something someday. I still have a couple of VHS players that I'm just holding on to. One's a VHS, and then it has a DVD. It's a tandem deal.
Yeah, I'm thinking back. If I remember correctly, the last movie I rented from Blockbuster before they went out was Con Air.
Oh.
Remember that show?
Yep. Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no. My favorite line from that movie was after they got done fighting in the bottom of the plane, and he goes, "Can't you just put the bunny back in the box?"
Is that like putting baby? Nobody puts baby in the corner.
Oh God, that gets me every time because you know what? To be quiet, if you watch the movie, she's not sitting in a corner. So
I think it was a figurative corner more than it was a literal corner.
Right?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
What was that, Aaron?
I said I'd like to put Cass in a corner.
That's funny.
How do you feel about that, Cass?
You'll never take me alive.
Connor was a true classic.
Con Air.
He says Con Air.
Yep.
Another story really quick I pulled just because I found this funny. There's a gentleman named Mark Zuckerberg, right?
Yep.
Well, he was around and it was an attorney before the other Facebook Mark Zuckerberg was even born.
Yeah.
So, so now all of a sudden, come to find out after all this time, this poor gentleman who's just an attorney had been flagged several times on Facebook for impersonating Mark Zuckerberg, but yet he was the first Mark Zuckerberg before the other.
Right.
And has had problems his whole life now because every time he turns around, he tries to make it like he's going to take his wife out to dinner, so he calls to make the arrangements, and they're like, yeah, you're pranking us. You're not Mark Zuckerberg. Click. You know? And he has problems booking airline flights, hotels, all sorts of problems. So we now have a case that's out there where Mark Zuckerberg is suing Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah.
For a small fee, if I were the other Mark Zuckerberg, I would have taken money to change my first name or to start going by my middle name. Like M. Allen Zuckerberg.
Shaboing! I'll buy that for $1.
Give me $1 million, and I'll be your Huckleberry.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, Major Tom. Thank you. Worms? Really? Worms. Yeah. So it's an inside joke, people out there. We're not sure what's up with the worms. But
John has worms.
Don't you dare mess with Cuz. Cass. Don't mess with Cass, Aaron. Highlander's gonna get you.
Yeah. Yep.
So we're almost done with the show here. And again, this has been one of those subject matters that we decided to touch on today that is just very reflective, I guess you'd say, and reflective of a time and place that we're at right now in society.
Yeah.
This is a larger picture, a larger scale overall, this particular moment of the divide in the country, what's taking place between a lot of people out there.
Right. Well, it's a huge local issue and national and international as well. But, he's an Arizona guy. He's a Phoenix guy. And so it's something that we are feeling keenly here.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's kind of hitting home a little bit. So, yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we're coming up on it.
We're right there again. I know. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching. And once again, like I said, this is one of those shows that was just a little bit more down to earth, I guess you could say.
Yeah. It's just kind of a little fireside chat here.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you being here, though. Next week I will be on topic again, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll get back on things.
Yep. And, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this podcast. Remember, we're here every Thursday at 3 p.m. Arizona time. Important to say Arizona time because the time zone's going to change pretty soon, but we won't. So make sure you keep your watches set to Arizona time. For now, I'm Mark Beach.
I'm John Dotson, and I want to leave you with this. Remember, kindness is always free. Love your neighbor. Get out there, say hello to your friends, family, but more importantly, embrace your neighbors. Have that conversation with them.
There you go. Good night.